Looking back, it was so painful. Oh, I really didn't expect myself to cry. Hello, welcome back to my channel. Oh, I really wanted to make this video today because this is a topic that my heart just feels so called to share and to sit here with you today and have a conversation about that. So I hope wherever you are, you have a warm cup of tea, or you're lying down, or you're just hanging out, while we're having this conversation. I'm having a little bit of a headache today. I think just because the weather here has been so up and down and it's giving me a little headache, but I feel really called to share this topic. So I just have to, just have to make this video. So thank you for being here with me. I wanted to make this video for the people who struggled with their relationship with their fathers. The reason why that is because I struggled a lot with mine. My stepfather in particular. I have two fathers, biological father and stepfather, and in this video, I am dedicating this to my stepfather more than any other relationships. I have so much to share on this topic. I have no idea how long this video will be, but I would just trust and go with the flow. So if you're watching this video, you're likely having or have had a difficult relationship with your father. It could be stepfather like me, or your biological father, or a male figure in your life that was your father. It could have been your uncle, or it could have been somebody who took care of you and took on that role of a father. I have so much compassion for what you're going through, if you're going through that. I know it's not easy. I know it's really hard. I know it's maybe one of the most difficult things that you've probably ever experienced in your life. And I can speak and share to my experience of that. I never thought that I would have a stepfather. As a kid, I grew up and I had a really good relationship with my biological dad. And I've always wanted my parents to be together. But unfortunately, my parents divorced when I was 3. And when I was 5, when I learned that they were no longer together, I subconsciously just kept trying to get them to be together, either bringing them together during my birthdays or get them to hold hands while we were hanging out together. I guess that was like a dream as a kid. And then my stepfather came into the picture when I was 11 years old. And after that, we moved to Canada to live with him. My relationship with my stepfather is hands down the hardest relationship I've ever had to go through in my life. I'm sharing this not from a place of blaming him or making things bad about anybody. I'm sharing this from the perspective of deep compassion for myself, for my family lineage, for my stepfather and his lineage, the generational traumas that have been passed down. I'm witnessing and acknowledging that, and also witnessing and acknowledging yours. It must not have been easy for you too. My stepfather was someone who was easily angry. He got angry at me and my siblings and my mother and anyone around him all the time. It was very difficult to be around him. Growing up, I felt like I was walking on eggshells. I never felt like I had the space to speak my mind, to be who I really am or to express my true emotions. I felt like I had to hide myself in order to be safe. I couldn't be sad or upset or angry because he was angry and he would be angry. So I hid a lot of my emotions, and that affected me growing up as a young adult. I was passively aggressive and angry, but I didn't express my anger towards what made me angry or knew how to set boundaries. I was just angry towards the people that were closest to me because those were the people that I felt the most comfortable with, like my boyfriend at the time, or my mom, or my siblings. And I think that's how generational traumas are passed down. It's when we give it to the people around us unconsciously. I feel bad for my boyfriend at that time because I was so angry at him all the time. And I was angry with my siblings. I treated my siblings not very well. I reacted from the generational traumas that were passed down to me. I was an angry person. I was an angry person because I absorbed so much anger from my stepfather. And as a kid, I didn't know how to transform or process any of those emotions or anger. I suppressed and I swallowed and I let it burn inside of me without knowing. I people pleased my way through life because I didn't know how to set boundaries. I didn't know how to speak up for my needs. I didn't know who I was because of all of these behaviors to survive. I didn't know who my true self was. It was when I started going to meditation retreats and started to look within. It was within 3 days of my first 10 days Vipassana retreat, I started crying. I started crying, grieving the abandonment wound of my relationship with my parents when they divorced at 3 years old. For me, at three, not them. I started grieving and crying a lot, and started grieving and crying a lot about my relationship with my stepfather because how much pain and hurt it has brought me. And he couldn't change his ways. For many, many years, I've lived with him for over a decade by that point, and he hasn't changed for the decade. He didn't know how much it hurt me, or maybe he did, but he couldn't change himself. So when I went to meditation retreats, it was my only way of knowing how I could change. I couldn't rely on anyone else outside of me to change. I had to choose to change for myself. And I hope that if you're in this situation in your life where you're so affected emotionally by somebody, that you would choose to change yourself and not change them. Because changing someone else is one of the most difficult and unreliable and uncontrollable thing that you could ever try to do. It's impossible. But changing yourself and choosing to heal yourself and choosing yourself is the only way, the actual way to heal and to move forward and to grow. Hmm. I feel called to share more about how difficult my relationship with my stepfather was. A lot of criticism. He criticized us a lot unconsciously any time of the day growing up. I remember one time seeing how he criticized my little sister as, "You're so stupid." And when I see that mirror being reflected back to my experience growing up, I realized where all of my self criticism came from. He was very rough. I never felt the warmth or the affection from him, unfortunately. And his story was that he grew up during wartime in Vietnam, and his father also left him at a very young age. And he had to brave life all on his own from being a teenager all the way until his adult life. It was during the war he had to um, run away from the country. So I can't remember the exact word for that term. But yeah, he had to kind of run away from the country and to start a family from elsewhere, and all of his family siblings were dispersed across North America. So he only had himself. And his mom also had a very deep pattern of verbal abuse and harsh speech. So that was all of that was passed down onto us as children in his family. I had a very negative self talk to myself for the longest time. And it was easy for me to criticize myself when things weren't going well, when something was, oh, sorry, when something was challenging in my life. And I remember in high school, it was so difficult that I didn't stay at home at all. I ran away and stay with my boyfriend at the time, pretty much stay over at his house like all of the time. And his mom used to ask me, "How come you don't go home? Like, aren't your parents worried?" And I would just tell her, "I don't have a good relationship with my parents." I don't even think I was the one to tell her. It was my boyfriend at the time that told her that. And she had a lot of empathy. It makes me want to cry as I'm saying this. I think she had a lot of empathy for what I was going through. And I pretty much like lived and stayed at his house for most of my high school year. And even though at first she was very strict about having sleepovers, she wasn't a fan of having of his girl, like, you know, the girlfriend sleeping over all the time. But I think she knew how difficult it was for me, that she just let me stay there. I'm really thankful. Yeah, I'm really, really thankful for that. I had a I have a close cousin, very close to me, 1 year older than me. Her and I were best friends growing up, and she used to support me so much. I would we would call it talk shit about my stepfather. You know, those conversations where she just let me talk shit about my stepfather to her because of how painful the situation was growing up at home. I'm so thankful for the people that were around me at that time. But looking back, it was so painful. Oh, I really didn't expect myself to cry. I never shared how things were with my biological dad when I was going through this hard time. I kept it all to myself. I thought that if I keep it all to myself, then I'm strong and I could handle it, and I didn't want to be a burden to anyone else. So that thinking and that pattern contributed to me overtaking responsibility, overburdening myself, overgiving myself, because I thought I had to take it all on myself. Of course, over time, I recognized that that pattern is not true, it's not healthy, and that I can receive love, and that I don't have to take on all of the responsibility and the burden. But for the longest time, I kept all of my emotions, all of my pain to myself. Couldn't share it with anybody. And you know what's funny? I discovered that the women in my lineage, my grandmother, my mother, my aunts, they also hold their own pain and their own struggles and their own suffering to themselves because they don't want to be a burden to anybody. And when I started to recognize that pattern in my female feminine lineage, I started to realize that I wasn't healing just for me. I was healing for every single woman in my family. Whether they know that or not, whether I share that with them or not, I know I'm healing for them and for me. And of course, for my stepfather and everyone. But especially for the women in my family, because we all had the same patterns of not sharing our burden, not sharing our suffering, not sharing how we're really feeling. We're carrying it all on our own, thinking that we have to suffer all on our own. But then one day I'll see my mom break out crying and spilling emotions that she's been holding on for years, or I'll see my grandma bursting out of tears just one day when she couldn't bottle it up anymore. And now I see myself being committed to release it as it comes. If it's here, I'm releasing. I'm not holding on to anything. And if you're watching this and you resonate with what I'm saying, you're somebody who holds on to your own emotion, your own pain, your own burden. You think that you have to hold all of it all by yourself because somehow that makes you a hero, somehow that makes you a strong person, somehow you're a burden to someone else. I want you to know that is false thinking and that you need to start sharing how you really feel. You don't have to carry this burden, this pain, this struggle all on your own. You really don't have to. You don't have to, my dear. You don't have to. You can share it. You can write in a journal, you can share it with a friend, you can share it with a therapist. I really encourage you to work with a therapist or a coach. At that time I worked a lot with a coach to help me heal a lot of my healing wounds. And that is why in my life purpose now I'm so committed to helping others, because I had someone who was there for me, and I healed so many of the difficult things that I couldn't heal on my own. She was there for me, and that torch is being passed down. Now I'm there for others. I'm here for you making this video. I wouldn't be here making this video from this place if I didn't have somebody who was there for me too, who helped me heal the difficult and painful emotions. I remember in our their like coaching sessions, I would cry and she would be like, "It's okay to cry. It's okay to cry." And I would just keep crying. And I would be like, "I don't know where this pain is coming from." I would just keep crying. And she would say, "It's okay. You don't need to know. You just cry and be here." And that was the first time that somebody actually allowed me the space to just be with my emotion, to just be with my tears, to just be with myself as I am, and not having to fix, not having to change, not having to be more positive, be happy, be loving, cover this emotion up. I could just be myself. That is the space I want to create here on YouTube with you. This is the space to just be ourselves. There's nothing to impress, nothing to try. It's just, this is life and we are living it. And we, me and you, we are so strong. We are so brave. We are living it every day. No matter how hard it is, we are living it. I started healing my relationship with my stepfather. It's a messy, messy journey. I was very angry at him for a long time. Very angry. And occasionally, even now, I'm still angry at him. There are moments where I'm angry at him. I'm angry at him. I don't even think it's at him anymore. Now, when I'm angry at whatever it was, the energy, the energetic field, the trauma, whatever. There's a kind of anger and grief to the trauma from the lineage, not even to him specifically as a person anymore. And I want you to know that's essentially what you are grieving and angry at. Sometimes it's not even, you think it's to a specific person in your family, like a parent or an uncle or a family member, but it's actually the lineage. It's the trauma. Something happened, and now it's affecting someone in your lineage, and they carried that pain. And now either it's passed on to you in some way or another, and you feel that same pain. So sometimes when you're angry and you're grieving, it's not even about a specific person, it's the trauma. And when you can shift your perspective to that, it changes so many things. You're not just angry at the person and blaming them and pointing fingers at them, but now you're seeing that, okay, this is an opportunity where I can step in and heal. Whatever this was, I can step in and heal this. This came to me for a reason. I want you to take on this mindset. This pain came to me for a reason because I have the capability to heal this. That is why this pain came to me. I can heal this. I have the ability, the power to heal this. That's why this pain came to me. And I will transform it until it becomes from the mud to the lotus in my life, from pain to a source of deep wisdom and love and understanding and compassion and purpose, that one day I'm going to share this with the world. One day, your pain is your purpose. You don't have to be making YouTube videos like me for your pain to become your purpose. Your pain becomes your purpose when you have so much empathy for yourself that you start to share that empathy for another person, and people automatically come to you. It's just how energy works. Your friends, your random people in the community, strangers come to you sharing things about their lives with you because you've had that empathy for yourself, and so now you're extending that space for others. Pain becomes purpose. Pain becomes purpose. That is the one thing I wish I could tell myself at that time, because my younger self thought that her pain was just endless, that it would just never going to end. But darling, pain becomes purpose. Your pain now is the source of the wisdom, the medicine for your purpose, for one day you're going to share this with the world. It is true. It is true. Your father. Your father may have done a lot of things that have hurt you. He may have done a lot of things that you feel were wronged. Like, how could he be doing this to me? How could he? What did I do to him? Why is he doing this to me? But I want you to know, he didn't do it out of his conscious awareness. Every father wants to love his child. He just didn't have the capacity and the capability to. His nervous system is out of whack, whether he's struggling with some form of addiction, some form of pain, some form of suffering, some form of coping mechanism, some negative emotional habits that he cannot get out of. He's struggling with himself so much, and he's transferring all of those struggle and pain onto you. I know you're so hurt. I know you're in so much pain. I know every time you think about him, you want to cry. You want to be angry. You want to yell. You want to just be so mad at the world. Like, how could this be? But I need to tell you this. You came here. You had this family, this problem, this whatever you think it is, for a reason. Because you are someone who has the ability to transform this. There is a person inside of you who has so much wisdom and compassion and strength to transform this deep amount of pain into light, into love, into deep love and wisdom. Do you know that? Do you know that? I want you to know that. It is within you. It is not outside of you. You cannot run away from this pain. You cannot avoid this pain. This pain is here. It's in this lifetime. You may avoid your father. You may neglect and reject him and push him away, but your father is in you. The pain he carried is the pain you carry. It may look different because you're angry at him and he's so struggling with himself, but you're carrying his pain. You're carrying him inside of you. He's a piece inside of you, whether you accept or reject that. It's the truth. The only way for you to heal this is for you to see how amazing and capable you are of healing this, and that you not becoming somebody who's bitter about their upbringing and their parents and what they've gone through, but you become someone who's so loving and understanding, full of wisdom and compassion for yourself, for the people around you, for your parents, for your family lineage. You're not only healing for you, but you're healing for your entire lineage. You are a lineage curse breaker. You are a generational trauma curse breaker. Yeah, yes, you are. Yes, yes, you are. I know it's difficult. I know sometimes the pain is so difficult. You're lying in bed, you're crying, you don't even know how to deal with this. But my dear, trust me, follow the path, whatever that allows you to cultivate deeper love and compassion within yourself. Because that path, those skills will take you so far on this path. You will become not only someone who you can rely on and hold space for, but you become somebody where you can hold space for so many other people. Your purpose expands from your pain. If the pain is the root, the purpose becomes the branch. The deeper you can connect with the roots, the greater, the higher, the stronger, the taller you can grow. It doesn't mean that your pain is your roots. It means that you go down deep to the roots of who you are, including both your strength, your pain, and everything, your truth. You extract all of the nutrients from your roots by going deep into it, engaging with it, and then allowing all of that to become the fruits that you share with the world. I want that for you. I want that for all of us. I want a a world where we get to be real. We get to be real human beings. And this is real. This is a real human being. So if you're watching this and you've had a very difficult relationship with your father, I want you to know that you're not alone. Your feelings are valid. Your anger is valid. Your sadness, your loneliness, your struggle in relationships, attracting men that are emotionally unavailable. All of those things are valid. You're not wrong. There's nothing wrong with you. There is absolutely nothing wrong with you. Do not make yourself wrong. Do not put the blame onto you. Do not make yourself wrong or bad for how you're feeling, for what you're going through. Don't do that. All you have to do is see the strength within you. Speak kindly to yourself. Walk the path of love. The path that love becomes your core, where love is a practice, love is a training, love is something that you cultivate within and that you develop within, so that any situation that comes, any person, anything that comes, you can respond with love and strength. And because of that, you are literally unstoppable. That is what I wish for you, for me, for us, all of us. I feel so much lighter now sharing this. I never want this conversation to end, but I'm going to end the video here, and I know I will be making more videos on topics like this more in the future. And so I hope to see you there, and I hope to walk on this journey with you more. So thank you for being here. I'm so grateful, so honored to be a witness on your path. Thank you, and I wish you a good day. Bye for now.